Guys, yesterday you learnt about the turning moment diagram. Yeah. So the turning moment diagram look like this. So this is turning moment. This is crank angle. So this is like pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, and 4 pi. This is suction stroke. This is compression stroke, power stroke, and the exhaust stroke. And you saw that initially you had the work which is consumed early in the suction stroke and given out late in this. And again, there is a huge consumption of energy during the compression stroke because you need to compress, and there is a huge amount of energy which is delivered during the power stroke or the working stroke. And again, some amount of energy which is being used because you need to push the exhaust gases, because as you open the exhaust valve, there is still some pressure inside the engine at that instant. At this instant, there is actually still some pressure. As the exhaust gases rush out, it creates a vacuum behind which sucks the piston. So again, doing some positive work here. So this is positive, this is negative, this is positive, this is negative, this is positive, this is negative. And we said that this line is the torque graph without flywheel. Without flywheel. And we said that with flywheel you can have a mean torque which is like this. So this is with flywheel. So this flywheel is like a bank which actually takes money from you when you have excess and gives out whenever you require. Okay, it almost maintains constant. I mean, you know that it doesn't vary because the banks are so huge. So you can actually take energy from it and give it, and I think its torque will not vary much. So this is about the turning moment diagram, which we actually discussed in the yesterday's class. So I think you just have to say that there is huge amount of power which is added, the torque which is added during the power stroke. So without this flywheel, the engine speed would increase and again decrease in the next 3 strokes. So therefore there will be fluctuation of speed. That fluctuation of speed will lead to the torsional vibrations. If you imagine your bike the wheel trying to accelerate and slow down, what will happen to the chain? The chain will definitely snap because you're trying to pull the chain once and release it. And even if it's a shaft driven like our 4-wheelers, once you try to increase the speed, again decrease the speed, it is like the torsional vibrations. The components in between the engine and the wheels, maybe it is the gearbox components, the drive shafts, the joints, all this will have a huge burden because you're trying not to give a constant torque but to increase torque and reduce torque. So in between we have a flywheel which does 2 things. It stores energy as well as it prevents sudden rush of torque and sudden variation, and also the variations in speed. So this is about the turning moment diagram with a flywheel and without a flywheel. Okay, now I just want to go out of the topic and ask you, suppose if banks were not there and all this, we lived in a stone age where we need to just fulfill our needs of food and shelter, then what would happen? It would happen something like this, because you can't store. Whatever you hunt would actually go waste by that night because it would actually start spoiling. So at that time there will be a lot of variations. On some day you have a lot of hunt, you will have a lot of food, and other days you don't have anything to eat. So now, because of this economy where you can convert all your wealth into money, you can literally store it in bank and you can fetch it whenever you want it, and you can actually give it back when you have got excess, something like this. So now what this flywheel does is, it actually does the same thing of giving out energy whenever it is required and actually taking away excess energy whenever there is excess. Whenever there is huge amount of energy, and that actually tries to make the engines fluctuate less when compared to an engine without a flywheel. Of course, you don't have to have a flywheel in every case. Suppose in a two-wheeler, you may not really find a flywheel. Do you? As you open up the engine, do you find a flywheel? No, because those components of the crankshaft and also all the other rotating components, they themselves have got mass. They themselves act as flywheels. Okay, so therefore, in some engines you don't have a separate flywheel which looks like a disc which is rotating, because those are usually such engines are high-speed engines. So whenever you have, you know that the kinetic energy formula is what? Kinetic energy is equal to, for rotation, of mv square is for linear. If you got a body which has got a velocity v of mass m, this is for this. Suppose if you got a body which is rotating like this, and for this, what is the kinetic energy stored? Suppose if it is rotating like this, then what is the kinetic energy stored? Kinetic energy is given by the same thing. Instead of m, we use it as I, and instead of v, we use it as omega square, where I is nothing but mk square, where m is the mass of the flywheel and where k is the imaginary radius at which the flywheel can be placed. All the mass of the flywheel can be placed at a single radius. This mass, bring it here, this mass, bring it here, and do you imagine this to fly, place it in a single radius, that would give the same rotation, same resistance to rotation. Okay, suppose if you bring all the mass to the center, then no resistance. If you bring all the mass to this edge, it will have a lot of resistance. So you try to put all the mass along an imaginary radius, where if you try to feel by rotating it, it feels the same. The resistance to rotation feels the same. That is actually K. So if you know this K, then you can find out I, and therefore you can find out the kinetic energy. So I was saying about usually the engines which rotate faster will have omega faster. So that means their kinetic energies are faster. So that means the energy stored in them are large. And therefore, since the energy stored is large, so even though some amount of energy is sucked during the suction and the compression stroke, the variations will not be much. Variations will not be much because you've got a huge amount of energy. Suppose if you are only running around 10,000 rupees in your account every time, sometimes you need 15,000, it goes to minus. And sometimes you get 30,000, it goes to plus. So that means there will be a lot of variation. Suppose if you have got a bank account of like 1 crore, you spend 500 rupees for pizza. Now what is the variation? Nothing. It's almost nothing, no variations. So like this, when you have got a huge amount of energy already stored, and when there is some small fluctuation, so all this will only create a very small fluctuation when it is rotating at high speeds. Usually you need a flywheel for a slow speed engine. I think if you are from village background, you might have seen these water pumps running on diesel. Those run very slowly, get like this. So those usually have a very huge flywheel because the angular velocities are less, so the kinetic energy which is stored in them are less. So if some amount of energy is taken out, the engine may stall. So you always provide a big flywheel so that the energy stored is large by trying to increase mass. There they don't have speed, so they're trying to increase what? Mass. They have an external flywheel which is attached, which actually increases the bank account. The bank account balance. Okay, so that is how you try to deal with the engines which actually are running at high speeds. They will definitely have a smaller flywheels. So you can actually assume most of the bikes they do not have a separate flywheel, and most of the cars now have flywheel. The flywheel does a function of providing a friction surface for the clutch plate. It's not just for mass; it is also for as a friction surface. And most of this multi-cylinder engines also do not need a flywheel because one or the other engine will be cranking it. It's not a single cylinder engine cranking it, and only there is a single four stroke. You can add this. Suppose if you can imagine that there are actually 4 cylinder engines, 4-cylinder engines, a 4-cylinder engine, 1 cylinder, 2nd cylinder, 3rd cylinder, 4th cylinder. Suppose for this 1st cylinder engine, suppose if this graph something looks like this. That's for the 1st cylinder, works like this. Now the 2nd cylinder may work like this. Now the 2nd cylinder may have 4 stroke initially, then you will have some variation, something like this. So maybe the 3rd cylinder will have the power stroke somewhere here, and the 4th cylinder will have the power stroke somewhere here. So like this, at each time you will have one or the other power stroke. So that means the engine will keep actually cranking the crankshaft continuously. So there is not much variation. So variation happens only when there is a huge amount of energy supplied and there is a lot of time left for the other strokes to complete where they suck out a lot of energy. So at that time there will be a lot of variation. But for the multi-cylinder engines, because one or the other cylinders are actually firing, so there the variations of the torque are usually less. So it is the reason why multi-cylinder engines seem to be running very smoothly. Single-cylinder engines, they usually wobble because there is variations in the torque. And also it's not just about the variations in torque, it's also about balancing. So multi-cylinder engines balance quite well. I think I would have studied in balancing of rotating masses last time. Balancing of rotating masses and balancing of reciprocating masses. Guys, okay, simply for fun, I'm trying to ask this question. Imagine this is I'm not trying to draw a turning moment diagram, I'm trying to draw a diagram which is the earning in your life. Okay, earnings in your life, starting from the 0th day when you are born. Okay, so let us see. When you are born, 90? So 2000, okay, 2000, yeah. Okay, guys. You're young, okay, I understand that. You're very young. 2000 is to? 2004, okay. Somewhere around 2004 you were born. Okay, now, suppose as your family considering, not just you, your family considering, so let us draw a diagram of instead of the energy, the money spent and the money given on you. Okay, so considering, because your family is like a flywheel and you are actually consuming energy right now. So let us see it. Maybe, I think your family has taken a lot of care in actually giving you birth, and that's on the day of the hospital itself, they would have spent a lot of money. Okay. And from 2004, what is this now? 2025. Has this come any time positive? Has this come any time positive in your life? It does not come right from the day you were born. Maybe I can say your hospital bills, then maybe taking care of your early ages, like up to 5 years, when you fall, when you get injured, you fall sick a lot of times, your LKG, pre-KG and all this schooling, first standard, second standard and all this school, college, and now you are in the 3rd year. So here you are only in negative. You are just in negative. Now to actually increase, now to actually have an average something like this, now to have an average something like this, you need to have a big positive. I'm saying if you keep relaxing, then it may only go like this and a little bit like this. Suppose, so now what I'm saying is, please understand your responsibilities, because you already created a big negative for your family now. So it's the time to give it back. No, I'm not trying to say it's in a bad way, but it's usual for everyone. But you should realize that you have created this negative for this family. Okay, now maybe after 4th year in 2026 you passed out of engineering, and some people then they realize they should do MS, or they should go for PSUs, or they should do GATE and waste 1 year, one more year going for GATE training. Again they actually decrease this. and some people won't qualify for GATE another 1 year, and then they start searching for job. 1 more year searching for job, but they'll be spending. They'll not keep quiet. They will have bike. They need petrol and all that. It is all adding minus to your family. See, you should I think as a responsible person, you should actually bring this average to top, and only you can do this when you add big positives. You know, most of the students in the final year have got paid internships. 2 people got in S&P Global and their package is 7 lakh rupees, and they are actually paid from right now. So if you can, suppose if you can start earning right from now, you can actually bring this average much earlier in your life. Okay, please see that this minus comes to positive as early as possible. Okay, so try to do, and the best thing that you can do is not to ride auto in the evenings and start thinking of being positive. Okay, not that way. You try to do your best in learning and be a useful engineer, so that anybody who interviews you feels like they should hire you. Okay, please don't do such mean jobs where, because some people are unfortunate, they really could not go to college. I mean, they could not get a proper education. They are riding autos or cabs. No, it's not like I'm actually trying to undermine them, because they did not have education. They only know that they are doing. People with education should never get into such jobs, because you should not compete with them. It's not that it is low job. Now you should not compete with those people who are unfortunate. Okay, so please try to do some good jobs where your brain capacity can be used. Don't compete with such people. Okay, and please try to turn this to big positive right from this point. Okay, of course it can't, because this minus can't come to positive, because now you have to keep earning, it goes like this. At least until now. So what is the amount that you might have actually spent right from the beginning? If you keep investing in bank or something, okay, forget about bank. Your school fees, everything. Will it go up to 15 lakhs? More than that? How much, man? Huh? How much? Yes? History? No idea. I'm asking these people. They have no idea how much they have spent in life. Huh? 40 lakhs. Okay. Oh, I think you had a very education in a very big school, maybe. Okay, guys. So maybe like 40 lakhs. 40 lakhs. Guys, 40 lakhs interest in personal loan is actually 12%, 1% per month. So 40,000 per month is the interest if you already spent 40 lakhs for your education. Now to just meet that interest, you can't do that in life, because interest is more than your salary. So I'm asking you, that is the problem with Indian families. Like your parents love you, you will start loving your children the same way, and your children won't even come to college. You will be behind them to check whether they have gone to college or not. You people will be bunking classes and sitting here and there, no? And I think it will be difficult for you to find your children in college. Not even bunking, they are outside college first of all. So please understand your responsibilities. If you are not responsible, then you can't expect your younger generation to be responsible. So please be responsible, and please try to bring this minus to positive as early as possible, because you already spent a huge amount of money for your family, and this average should be brought back at the earliest by trying to work smartly